Everybody, welcome back to Spooky Pixels. Today, I will be showing you how I achieved this edit. So stay tuned and let's get started. So first, I start off with my two layers, of course, the bottom layer and the top layer. And the first thing I'm doing is just editing the shirt because the shirt was perfect, but the letters were the same letters that I posted in on my Instagram. The shirt, just what the shirt said. So I wanted to change what the shirt said also to match his pants. So what I did was I made a top layer, flipped it down, and just drew airbrushed over it the lines and the definition, and then I went underneath it with another layer, flipped down, and used the fade pen. And then I'm gonna go back on the top layer afterwards and use the airbrush and shade again over it just to make it seamless. I'm going to make that layer transparent and carve out the perimeter of the shirt. So I'm just chopping out all the extra, and then I'm going to add my own design on top of it. So I found this t-shirt design on Pinterest, and then I'm going to pull in a camo on top to match his pants, and then I'm going to make the word kinder and the word planet camo. I'm clipping that down also, but I go through a little bit of a process to do this, but you can also consider this me showing how to change the shirt, because a lot of the shirts that we want, creators don't make them on IMVU. So sometimes you just gotta do a little bit of editing, put a little extra elbow grease into getting the shirt how you want it. Clipping down a layer to the edit, the graphic layer for the shirt, and I wasn't sure what layer mode to make it, I went through a few and I think I landed on pen light. I'm not sure, either pen light or hard light, but I landed on one of those. I wasn't sure how to keep the black but still make behind that blue without, without having to go in and carve it correct, like directly how it's made. But I figured it out and I think I made it pen light. But I also went in with a little yellow, and yeah, I did do pen light. But I also went in with a little yellow and colored the sparkles too on the shirt texture as well. Now I'm gonna merge it down and I'm gonna clip that down to the layer below. And I think I made it multiply. Yeah, I made it multiply. And I turned up the contrast just a little bit to make the colors more vibrant and the background more white. So that way when you multiply, it won't bleed. What's the word I want to use? Possibly bleed. I'm not sure. But the white part won't show. That's what we don't want to show. So yeah, and I'm using my special tool to make it fit the shirt. And then I'm gonna go back in with the eraser and carve out the extra parts of the letters. I'm just transforming her wig to her head, and I already had the wig and the phone case hidden because I didn't want to go through the whole video looking for it. But I ended up having to pause and go find her a bag to fix the glitches on his hands because my avatar is chubby, BBW, and things tend not to work with her. Like even the hair is glitched. I'm gonna need y'all IMVU creators to make the hair chubby friendly because everybody don't want an avatar that's skinny. But yeah, and then I'm gonna make the hair transparent and I'm gonna carve out the front of her body so the t-shirt will still show because I did a lot of work on the t-shirt. But before I do that, I'm also going to just make sure the wig fits the hair properly. And when you're using the special tool, just be mindful of how you're pulling the wig, on the head. Don't be scared to like move it around how you want it, because if it's gonna look good, it's gonna look good. But yeah, this is me taking the eraser and chopping her body out of the wig. Just the front of her body. So chopping out her nails, you want to make your eraser brush super small, but you want to keep it on 100 and chop out the nails. I'm also going to erase her thumb because I'm going to make the phone the bottom layer. I don't know when I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to do it right after this. But yeah, I'm going to chop off the thumb. So that way when I put the phone as the bottom layer, it looks like the thumb is behind the phone instead of in front. Me on the bottom layer and the phone, and when you do that, you just go back to the big layer, make it transparent, and I must have messed up. But yeah, you make it transparent and then you use the eraser to erase the part of the phone out that you want to show, which is the whole phone, because you just want it to look like the phone is in the forefront and not in the foreground. Skimming through, fixing little glitches I see. Her thigh definitely glitched with his leg, but don't worry, don't fix it. Just using a special tool. And moving her hair back now, just so I can add the purse. I found this purse on Pinterest, and then I edited the purse um, in a different artwork setting. In a different project. Let's say that in a different project on IVS Paint, and I'm just gonna put the purse on, make it transparent, and carve her eye out so it looks like she's holding the purse. Um, this purse was so cute, and it was camel. It matched the whole vibe. So yeah. Just pulling in her chain items. You might recognize these from my last edit that I did with my friend Mary. So yeah, I'm just pulling it in. I'm not even editing the letters this time. If they spaced out, they spaced out. But yeah, I just pulled it in because my avatar, her chain, I didn't have her chain on when I took this photo. So I'm just pulling it in. But now we're going to start doing the shading, and first we're gonna shade between the bodies so they look separate, like she's in front of him. So I just do a light layer of airbrush in between them, and then I carve it out on her end because she's the one that's in the front. Also shading under her chin, but then after I shaded under her chin, I realized that her chain was not clipped down, even though I didn't want to at first. But I go back and I take the chain, I do a drop shadow filter on it to make, just so it looks like it's on the shirt and not just sitting on the picture. So I do a drop shadow effect on it, and then I merge it down to the top layer so that way it looks like she has a chain on. And then when I do the shading for the neck, I don't have to go back and edit the chain like so. Using the blur tool, I like to call it the blend tool, but I'm just editing the harsh lines in her face, making sure that everything looks seamless. I'm just pre-adding my layers. I always do a layer of add, and I always do a layer of soft light. And now I'm going into the soft light layer with black, with the color black and the brush, airbrush. And I'm just airbrushing her cheeks and her nose, contouring and whatnot. Just making sure everything looks snatched. A soft light as well to make sure his cheeks and chin look snatched as well, and arms as well. I look back, I realize I missed a glitch. I hate when the arms on IMVU do that. Like they make the wrist stick out further than the hand. It's so weird. So I go back and fix that, and then I go back into my soft light layer and finish contouring. Now I'm going into the add layer with the same airbrush brush, and I'm using white. And now I'm just adding definition to her thighs, her arms, and his I think I gave him a little bit of add on his face. I'm not sure, but he didn't need too much editing. So I just really did a lot on her because she had a lot of glitches going on. But yeah, I just do her arms and her thighs, and then I do his arms and his face and his legs. finishing the layer of ad on her face, and I'm doing her cheekbones, her forehead, her nose, her inner corners of her eyes, and her eyebrows. So do a little on her chin just so you know it looks like the light is bouncing off her chin. I think I may have done it a little too harsh. Now that I'm looking at it again, yeah, I may have done it a bit too harsh, but all is all. Flick down a layer of normal to the purse, and I'm just adding a little definition to the purse, just making sure it looks like it's on her arms and not just sitting there. Also go back and add another layer of ad because I just felt like her thigh didn't look defined enough for me, so I go back into her thigh, and then I also do a little on his thigh as well. I'm putting down a layer of normal to the phone, and I'm using the airbrush brush in black, and I'm just going to give her fingers a little definition, just on top of the phone case, because it just, I don't know, it just didn't look realistic enough for me. And then I go back into the soft light layer and the ad layer on top of her body, and I add a little more definition to the fingers as well. Sometimes I forget about the fingers, y'all. I'm human. I'm doing the shadow, and I'm just gonna angle it down on the couch and just make sure it shows on all sides, and then I'm going to chop the layer off at the top so that way, it looks realistic. I wouldn't expect the shadow layer to be all the way on the cabinets in the back. So yeah, just doing the shadow layer. I'm bringing in a layer for white. I kind of messed up because when you bring layers in on top of layers that are clipped down to another object, it clips down to that object automatically. But I unclipped it and then I fixed it how I wanted to fix it, and then I made it a add layer and made it a little transparent. So adding another layer of add, I'm just adding some shine to the jewelry. The chains, the bracelets and all that, the rings. This is the finished picture. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.